In the top, we have a player with a Gosu or most Gosu Phoenix control, even if he's a little bit shorter than his opponent in this game, in real life. His name is RotterdaM, and fortunately for me, he's not changing his colors all the time.
He is a lovely player, but he is going up against, in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, our troll player of the day, winning the first game, losing in the second. Can he come back and gain the advantage once more? He plays for Team Fnatic Raid Call. His name is Harstem!
Alright, I don't understand anything of this. Erst
Nope.
maar druk maken, gelukkig, or gelukkig. I don't know which one.
I do not speak Dutch, unfortunately. I'm starting to speak a bit of Norwegian, but not enough to kind of translate it across to understand anything that's going on right now.
RotterdaM with an 11 gate yet again.
He's just all about them 11 gates.
Yeah, I have to say, Harstem getting a 13 gate, so, I mean, there's the second chrono on the Nexus. RotterdaM, of course, has a lot more chrono boost saved up because he could not afford to chrono boost the first time, otherwise, that 11 gate would not have come down. So, yeah, I think RotterdaM just wants to be aggressive yet again in this third game. Guys, we have 4 more games to go.
We do indeed. And this is the thing, that I watch a lot of StarCraft 2, and by a lot of StarCraft 2, I think I watch somewhere in the region of 30 to 40 hours a week now, because I have nothing better to do with my life. And one of the things I see against players who maybe feel a little bit mismatched, not saying that RotterdaM isn't as good as Harstem, but he's going to feel like he doesn't get quite as much practice or competition as Harstem does. So one of the things you can do in those situations is be the more aggressive player. Don't let Harstem do everything he wants to do. Try and knock him off his game, try and unsettle him with your aggression and gain the advantage in that manner.
Now, that being said, RotterdaM is no noob when it comes to playing StarCraft or any other competitive game. We know he has been a Warcraft 3 player competitively in the past before he switched to StarCraft 2 and started casting the games. And frankly, I think the only reason he doesn't have, we are not seeing as much of him as a player is because of his casting work. I mean, that guy is on fire. Everybody wants a piece of Rati. Every tournament wants to have him with Mr. Bitter as one of the casting duos. So I mean, when you have that much work, you obviously don't have time to play. And I will shut up now before my tongue ends up being one big knot.
Luckily, I was busy answering questions in chat because people are not paying enough attention to the Heart of the Swarm beta keys questions. But yes, I totally agree with you. I mean, one of the reasons RotterdaM rejoined or joined Root back in May of last year was because he felt he wasn't getting enough competition. And even though he joined not really to focus on 1v1, he wanted to participate in team leagues and 2v2s and the like, and he's done fairly successful there, despite now going back to being an inactive player. So this is a guy that wants that competition. We've seen the same from Artosis. He, again, even though he's considered one of the greatest casters in the world, still considers himself a player rather than a caster. He's still someone who wants to play the game and has that high-level competitiveness instilled in him.
Well, once a player, always the player. It's hard to leave this life. It's hard to leave the competition. A little bit of a battle going on here. 3 Stokers versus 3 Stokers. Who has the better micro? And it looks like RotterdaM might just barely gets the upper hand here. As Harstem's Stoker is down on HP. So, in the end, they traded evenly because those shields will regenerate and the warp gate is finished. But, Harstem, the important thing is Harstem had to pull back to his base. And why did RotterdaM do this? Because he wants to secure an expansion. A 1-gate expand, ladies and gentlemen. Very cleverly executed, might I say. And getting a robo behind this while Harstem is all about Blink.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. Of course, Harstem's robo is also going down. But so long as RotterdaM can keep this expansion up for a few minutes, he is going to start to get ahead no end. Harstem is building up for an attack. There's no way he can now go and expand. If he does, he's going to be really far behind in terms of that. So he has to do some kind of attack for me. He has to do some damage.
Well, I think this is going to be... we are going to see an attack from him, especially since, that Blink is on the way, Observer is on the way, and Harstem is just cutting all probes. He is staying at 26 probes and not making any more. So that's, that's optimal saturation on your murals in your base. And RotterdaM is getting just 2 immortals to feel safe with 3 sentries and just dumping his chrono boost, interestingly enough, into probes instead of the robo. But it's going to be enough. It's going to be enough because he will have those 2 to 3 immortals when that attack hits. But I'm a little bit scared because he's only on 2 gates. So, Oh.
Yeah, cutting the gates because he wanted to get the Robo Bay down. Also, Twilight Council coming out.
Wow, this is really greedy by RotterdaM here. I mean, it's good that you have 2 immortals, a 3rd one on the way, but look how big Harstem army is. He has the ability...
now RotterdaM sees it. RotterdaM sees the Stalkers coming out now. What is he doing to respond? Where is he going to dump his chrono? For me, it needs to immediately go in that Robo Bay. Right now. And there it goes. Robo coming down on the Immortal. And he's doing the right thing, taking and holding this ramp. That's the best place to engage Blink Stalkers in. Don't let them come up because they can pull you apart, jump blinking in and out of your base. Whereas if you can fight them on the ramps here, they aren't able to aren't able to split your army up. You keep the full army together, and with the Immortals
nice force fields. Nice force fields. Yeah, I have to agree. RotterdaM is doing the right thing. He's not allowing the Stalkers to get the high ground, and always, he is essentially preventing Harstem from forcing him to split up his army. If RotterdaM has to split up his army, Harstem is going to have the advantage in mobility. But as long as he's forced to blink into 3 Immortals, a couple of Zealots and Stalkers, he will never do that. But he may blink into the main, and there goes the blink up. That's not a good thing to happen for RotterdaM.
He's going to lose that pylon as well. That pylon goes down. A nice blink away. Just trying to stay away from those Immortals for as long as possible. How long will he stay in this mode? Okay, looks like he wants to blink out now. Only blinks half. Okay, now blinks the other half. Nicely done, Harstem. Harstem forcing this. Of course, he is now adding his own expansion. But for me, he still needs to do a little more damage. The tech with that Robo Bay already out for RotterdaM and the Colossus here means he's going to need to do some more damage. If he could pick off a Colossus, that would be perfect. Going to be so hard to do, though, protected by those 3 Immortals.
No, I don't think he can afford to do that blinking just yet. And he will have Immortals and Colossi of his own in a moment here, but he did not kill all that many probes, which is what essentially he needed to do to equalize the game a little bit, and RotterdaM is still ahead. He has the Twilight down as well. He's adding a Forge. He'll start working on those upgrades the first chance he gets. And, he will have a huge advantage in Colossi numbers and the Colossi upgrade for a time. Nice force fields there. Harstem has to blink away.
Roy is absolutely playing fantastically, chronoing those Colossus out to make sure he keeps that advantage up. Now chrono boosting out the +1 attack. He's just making the correct choices here. He's got 2 Zealots watching for this blink, so now he sees the blink. The Colossus can respond straight up that ramp. The Immortals, of course, will take longer. The question is, he is going to lose that Colossus. 100%. Could potentially lose a second, but forces a blink out instead. That was dangerous.
Was a good trade for Harstem if I ever saw one. Trading what, like 3-4 Stalkers for a Colossus? I'd do that trade any day. So what we're seeing here is kind of like the reverse of Game 1 when RotterdaM was doing something like this the whole game and ended up losing actually, which is something I would not expect, as I thought that he had the advantage. But look at the food counts. RotterdaM is still ahead by miles. Because, 20 food in PvP, that's being ahead in miles. And,
absolutely.
Double Robo going down for Harstem, and he's working on his +1 attack as well.
Yeah,
while
but
being
Robo was already down for RotterdaM, so RotterdaM still keeping that lead in terms of both economy and in Colossus. Oh, Rotterdam actually making a push out now, and I think
Yeah.
this is a good idea. There's not enough stalkers for him to really try and get up into that main again. If he does, he may well get caught. Harstem gonna go for it though.
Well, he does not have an observer, so he cannot blink up into the main. I am not sure if Rotti knows about that. Yeah, he does have an observer, so he has to know there is no observer to allow the blink up there. So a little bit of a misread probably. Otherwise, he could move out without any fear of counterattacks. But I think he's a little bit afraid that counterattacks actually might be possible here. And well,
Again, I do not agree with what Harstem's doing there, though. Constantly trying to go in. He's just going to keep taking damage on those stalkers for absolutely nothing in return. Just doing the occasional bit of shield damage to a zealot. It's not enough.
interesting thing though, Harstem. I mean, RotterdaM is transitioning into Templars.
And Harstem's taking
And
a third.
wow, wait a minute. He's getting a War Prism. I'm just wondering if he is also gonna get Storm for storming the mineral lines. That would be fun to see. Or if he's just going to use the War Prism as it is. Now he's getting Archons, so no Storm.
Perhaps using the Warp Prism just when he decides to push out, allowing him to reinforce without a forward pylon. Okay, the Observer of Rotterdam does see that Harstem is expanding, so for me, I feel like there's definitely got to be an attack timing in there. He can't let that stay up.
I don't think he can. One lonely immortal left on the high ground here, standing vigil for RotterdaM.
No, it looks like Rotterdam wants to do the opposite, in fact. For a second there, I saw the ghost of a Nexus at that third base. Yeah, Rotterdam wants to take the third and try and even it up that way. Oh, but cancels it, and in fact, it's going to push out. So, slightly indecisive there.
I think he wants Harstem to... He's feeding him information right now. Like, every time Harstem moves around with those Stalkers, RotterdaM not only cancels the expansion, he moves the probe away. I think he wants him to think that he's not going to be expanding, but at the same time, a lot of time has passed for that expansion to go down. Meanwhile, we do have a warping of Zealots by RotterdaM inside of Harstem's space, and also at the third. Oh my god, but 6 Glasseye make short work of that. He is going to get this one Stalker, though, before he gets away. Not doing a whole lot there with that Warprism, though, I have to admit. So definitely a bad trade for him. And no, RotterdaM says that, well, you know what, I'm not going to expand after all, because I delayed my expansion for too long.
Yeah, he can't afford to. He's 14 workers behind. He's 14 workers behind. You can't expand that late and try and come back from it. Not at this stage of the game. For me, he needs to go in and attack. He's using the Zealots there less to harass, more to just scout the army composition, I feel. To know whether or not he can actually move up into that base. His Warp Prism will go down, though.
Yeah, it will. Zealots have been dropped into the main base, and here comes Rotti. Not the best of positions, but he can get a nice concave here on Harstem, and he has Archons, whereas Harstem does not. The Immortal count is roughly the same, but Harstem, in the end, getting the better end of that deal. And I wonder what RotterdaM was thinking there, only engaging with half of his army. Maybe he was afraid he might lose the battle. Considering that that was only half of his forces, that was a good engage there. But oh my god, these Colossi cannot escape the enemy.
It's all about the Colossus numbers, and Rotterdam's are now falling by 2. These Zealots will go down almost instantly. Engaging on this ramp could be nice for Rotterdam, though. Good arc, so Harstem has to pull back there. But I don't feel like Rotterdam should be moving down. This is really, really tense stuff. Again, every micro battle between these two players is so tense. But Harstem does it. He takes down all those Colossus. Rotterdam trying to expand to that third, but so long as Harstem pushes out with this, I don't see any way that can stay up.
Oh my god, 8 Colossus for Harstem, 2 Colossi for Rotti. Poor Rotti, he's losing this one big time. His main is mined out. His third is not even up and will get cancelled or killed if Harstem ever decides to attack. I don't think Harstem knows in what good of a position he is now. He knows that the third is just now going up. But I don't know if he's aware of how few forces
Yeah, I think the worry for
remaining.
him was that all he had was Colossus, and that can be scary because if you move up there and all of a sudden there's actually a ton of army still left, because we know RotterdaM has not been engaging with his full army most of the time, then you can quickly throw away 4 or 5 Colossus for absolutely nothing, and he does not want to do that at all.
Yeah. I don't understand what those guys are talking about, but it must be funny.
Yeah, well, this is the Dutch StarCraft League after all. And
Yep, it
remember,
is.
you can go to their website, which is, I believe, DutchStarCraftLeague.nl, and join the league. You can purchase your promo packs, which come with a hot beta key as well. That can be found under the big Help Us button on their website. Well worth doing. The Dutch StarCraft League has been fantastic. Some of the greatest games coming out of Europe right now. Definitely worth checking out.
Definitely it is. Not to mention that the stickers and posters you get as part of the promotion pack are super cool.
If I wasn't in this game right now, I would actually be buying one.
I already did.
So
Anyways, so I'm ahead on that count. You have to equalize the score, Jesse.
Yep.
So Harstem is just going to finish the game right here. He gave RotterdaM some time to at least rebuild a semblance of defending army. RotterdaM is doing a very nice thing here, trying to set up a flank. But, that kind of tips him off, and Harstem is going after those Zaws, and I think Harstem is just deciding, similarly to what we saw at the start of the game, which ramp will be the one I use to go up.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only thing for Harstem is he doesn't have vision of the high ground, and that's something he would have wanted to decide where to attack it. Nice sniper that Colossus, of that Archon, though.
Well, since Harstem is so indecisive which ramp to use, RotterdaM as a result is very indecisive on which ramp to defend. Luckily, RotterdaM does have a very handy observer here. Look at this. So smart.
I really don't know why Harstem hasn't got out another observer. It's so rare to see a Protoss with no observers whatsoever, even at this stage of the game.
Well, maybe he's not afraid of DTs. Which essentially he should be, because when behind Dark Shrine, right? And RotterdaM is hugely behind, especially since he cannot afford to defend this harassment at his third properly, losing more probes there. And Harstem is just continuously poking at Kevin and just prodding him and daring him to make a mistake. RotterdaM trying to set up a good concave, good defensive position here. But Harstem's food is getting closer and closer to that 200 mark, and this is not going to last for very much longer.
Yep, more and more of Harstem Zealots now running into that expansion base. Of course, both players right now on +3 attack, +0 defense. RotterdaM is trying to get up that +1 defense, but it's going to be a while. So even upgrades as we have a double engagement. The Zealots absolutely destroying RotterdaM's expansion, but RotterdaM trying to push down that ramp, trying to take down these Archons and Colossus. I just do not know if he has enough. No. Even with RotterdaM's wonderful micro, there is not enough to hold there. Guys, this is GG. There we see it. And Harstem takes a 2-1